at the Winnipeg Art Gallery with the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra and Cluster Festival presenting some of our original music that has been arranged for the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Eric.
And we form the band Slow Spirit. Most of the songs that we'll be performing today are from our brand new album, which is called Nowhere No One Knows Where to Find You, which we wrote in Onanol, Manitoba in the winter of 2019.
There are some measures put in place. There will be distancing between the audience, and we'll be mostly focusing on the recording of this music so that we can release it online so that people can enjoy it at home.
It's a very large room with a very small crowd. And it's a beautiful acoustic space, and we have a film crew set up so that we can share it, the concert, more broadly.
In the dust, riding freeways in the chariot. This is a tempest in a teacup.
Yeah, the album is very densely arranged. That was something that we made a point of making this album that was different from the way that we had written and arranged music in the past. In the past, we were focused on, arranging for the 5 people that were in the band originally, and then we kind of pared things down to 3, really focusing on a tight kind of trio, guitar-oriented sound. But with this album, we wanted to explore pianos, synthesizers, using Natalie's upright bass to create orchestral type textures, and even some saxophone on one song, and lots of guitars, of course, and drums, percussion. So to make that transition into this space with the orchestra, I really went about just finding my favorite parts, the parts that we wouldn't normally be able to recreate live because we are only a 3-piece or sometimes a 4-piece band. So taking those extra parts from the album and finding out which voice within the orchestra would be best to represent those parts, whether it's an orchestral type texture or whether it's a synthesizer or even a few piano parts that made their way into the arrangements.
Yeah, well, you have to learn to listen to both entities, I guess, right? I learned just early on that I need to listen to the rhythm section of I can't be sort of, when you're by yourself conducting an orchestra, you're setting the pace, but then now I'm working with the rhythm section that's also setting the pace. So I got to listen to what they're doing. I just can't. I was following. I'm used to following soloists. They have singers. So I worked with singers or solo instrumentalists before, but then there's that added component of a rhythm section, which also need to take into account. So really, at some points you just have to let the band take the lead. Right? Especially when it's a more strenuous song like Nowhere No One Knows. I mean, it's getting really exciting near the end of it, and there's a lot of the percussion is really taking over there. So you got to sort of okay, here at the very beginning you set the pace because it's really just the strings that started, and then later on you sort of just let the rhythm section kind of take over, right? And you're just sort of guiding everything, right? You're just sort of trying to set the emotion or just trying to keep the pace going. But you're sort of like the conduit between the rhythm section and the band and then the orchestra. So you're like the go-between. So you just gotta keep it all.
Nowhere, no one knows where to find you. Nowhere, no.
You have to be open, and when you're working in this situation, you have to be ready for anything. You can't be, okay, this is not like you're doing a Mozart symphony, you've studied it, you know where every entrance is, you know exactly what every instrument is, you know what's going on. But here, you have to be really open to anything, and you can't be like, no, I want to have, they come up to you and they say, I want to put this audio of steps. Like, no, we can't have. It's like, no, let's go with it. That's great. Let's hear the saxophone solo. Oh, great, saxophone solo. Just go with it. So you have to be more flexible, really flexible. Just So don't come in expecting anything when you're working with the band, especially when maybe if I met with them a week previous or something and I kind of have an idea, but when you just rehearsed this morning, so you just have to be flexible to anything to go from there.
Oh, my darling, let down your long hair, that I might take some comfort.
Hi.
How are you?
I have so many kinds of good today.
We just did a concert. What was that like?
Oh, the stuff of dreams, truly. This has been a long anticipated show. Hey, I've known about this show for a long time. And then we had our first plans that were waylaid by the pandemic, as you know, so many ripples were felt then. And so to have this show resurface, just have the buoyancy to show up again and to be performed was lovely. I didn't think it would happen. So I work very closely with my trio mates here in Winnipeg. Their names are Nat Felicitas, who plays the cello, and Quentin Bart, who plays the bass. And they have been collaborators of mine for years now, and we know each other well, and we know each other musically very well. And it is just like a delight to collaborate with them and to just feel like a multi-geared machine that just fits together so well. So typically how we work is that I will write a song and have the sections and the form and the harmony sorted, and then we will work on together in real time complementary string parts that fit together. So usually that means me playing guitar and singing, or me playing violin and singing, and then the cello and the bass contributing. And it's a process that I think leads us to a product that is just greater than the sum of our parts. And I mean, everyone is bringing excellent parts. They are just such talented, intuitive, and brave musicians.
In the cards that I've drawn,
so when we combine that all together, really cool things happen,
been
things that I'm so
reading
proud of happen. And so we had all that all ready to share with the arrangers for the arrangement process. And since there was a lot of overlap of instrumentation, right? We're already playing with violin, viola, and viola, I have a 5-string fiddle, and cello and bass. So a lot of that just translates very naturally to the larger ensemble. And then there are moments where I think it's very natural to extrapolate or to add more layers and more intricacy. And those are things that sometimes I think we wish we could do as a trio. So we do a lot of double stopping or tremolo things that allow us to bolster our sound from our instruments. So this is, I think, the wider palette that we reach for but can't quite grasp.
my love and my love for I bid you adieu. Regret only that I can't travel.
So I think it's a good thing for orchestras to I think every orchestra has been doing that for a number of years now, and it's a practice that should continue to. I think it's good for also just musicians in the orchestra to be working with a different genre, a different approach to music, right? We're so focused on our classical studies, everything, classical training, working from the page, from the score, and then to work with this, which is more, more spontaneous, I guess. So it's good to have that. Good to have that combination, and orchestras should continue to do that. I'm definitely for these collaborations and more in the future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it feels amazing. It's really a dream come true, you know, to have such a huge team of musicians behind you. And we're all working for the same thing, and we're all just human beings just trying to do our best performance possible, given these circumstances. Yeah, it's just, I feel really supported, of course. Yeah, it feels great. And the MCO is such a lovely small group of like, you know, seasoned, there's some flexibility, there's some, you know, a little bit of a collaborative, whereas I feel like if it was a bigger group, it would just be like this like solid mass of, you know, but I can really, it feels like human beings, like a team, you know, behind me, which is nice, really great.
I am such a fan of the chamber orchestra. You know this. You've seen me at a million chamber orchestra shows. And this is an ensemble that I love so much because they are such intuitive, solid players. And it's all strings all the time, which is, you know, that's where my heart lives. So I love it. And I love the variety of works that this orchestra performs, the caliber of musicality, the accessibility of it, in that I feel like it's a very inviting show that you guys put on. And I just like, I come and take notes. I'm like, oh, this was great. Notice that, overlapping figures, such and such. So I'm taking musical notes, I'm taking production notes. I think y'all just do such a fine job. So I am over the moon to be folded in. It's great.
No, I mean, it's, you know, this is my first time, I want to say debut, working with the chamber orchestra. So everyone's been just very easy to work with, very cordial. So it's been a great time, and I'm very fortunate, appreciate considering the circumstances. Bravo to the MCO for continuing during a pandemic, you know, where you never know what's going to happen. I mean, this concert could have not happened, considering what's happening right now. So I feel very fortunate, and I think it's good for every organization and just artists in general to soldier through, and let's just try our best to keep it going and keep it in a safe way. We show that it's possible to do it in a safe way. So yeah, just continue on and provide, you know, live music and for people out there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's really a dream come true. With like the risking sounding a little sappy, it wasn't something that we ever thought we would be doing. But Natalie and I both went to music school. Natalie's played in an orchestra before, and then since then, felt a little like we abandoned that world entirely, and it's nice to kind of be reunited with that kind of orchestral sound and that tradition, that it's still strong and alive in Winnipeg, and it's great to be trying to make something happen between these two worlds.
Oh yeah, just thank you to the MCO and to Cluster Festival for putting this on and together.